Chhaya literally means, I think in Hindi, shade.
We speak Urdu. In Urdu, Chhaya is Chhaya, which means shade.
Well, literally, it means both shade and shelter. So if you look at the word Chhaya in Bengali, you'll see that it's a word that's a very common word.
When people are really tired, they find so much comfort being under the shade.
Immigrant residents in Queens were born in over 100 nations, which makes Queens the most diverse place in the world.
Particularly in a country like the US, housing determines opportunity. Where you live determines what kind of schools your kids will go to, what kind of jobs you'll have access to.
In India, we said roti, kapra or makan. So when you basically have your food and then your clothes, then the next thing is a roof over your head.
Of course, I mean, we all know that New York City is a city of immigrants. Immigrants who are new, immigrants who've been here for more than a generation.
There's always been a lack of housing, and the groups that have suffered the most with regards to that are the newest groups that arrive. And in this period of history, South Asians are one of the newest groups here.
So we initially began thinking about Chhaya in about 1998 and eventually established the organization in 2000. Chhaya was originally incubated within Asian Americans for Equality, which is an organization that's based in Chinatown and Flushing. AFI really played a strong role in preventing a lot of displacement and preserving affordable housing in that community. And I think that's when I really started to realize that we needed to do something like this in the South Asian community.
Post 9/11, it almost felt criminal to be South Asian in New York City. I came home to visit my mom, who was recently widowed, and amazingly enough, our long-term neighbors had turned on her because she looked the way she looked.
As soon as the attacks occurred, the next day we started getting calls from people who were reporting hate crimes. They were reporting cases where they were losing jobs.
It was then when I first heard of Chhaya as the only organization that were trying to help South Asian community members in New York City.
I grew up in Durgapasha. It's a village in Sylhet, Bangladesh. Yeah, so when I landed, I was like, okay, it's really nice, excited to see what America likes, because I saw American movies, really nice, and I saw all these private houses. The first expression was like, oh, this is America? I thought America is something else. A big building, nice, clean. No, it wasn't America that I dreamed of.
My name is Prajanan Prasad, and I came from Guyana. Came with my wife, 3 kids. We became a legal resident in 1993. My laundry business over here is not quite going well. It's a really hard time. So I couldn't make ends meet, you know. Can't make a mortgage payment. It was a lot of stress. You go to bed 10 o'clock, you wake 3 o'clock in the morning, can't sleep back.
We don't come from home expecting we will have some kind of rights. We expect landlord is the one who has all the right and they can do whatever they want. In reality, maybe this is the case in some other state, not in New York. My very first day started with exciting work. I found a building right away in Woodside. The second day, went to the building, having building meeting, organized the building.
And they were frustrated with their landlord because of illegal rent increases. But they also all had repair issues that needed to be addressed. Their apartments were in terrible condition. And so what we were able to do is organize a tenants association, and we documented all the repair needs and got all of those apartments fixed up. Those are 60 units of rent-regulated housing that if we were to allow those increases to continue, eventually would go out of control and would be a loss for New York City overall.
The goal of community development is systemic change. So how do you address those structural barriers to opportunity because you're a minority, because you're a woman, or what have you? So to be able to do the work effectively, you need to have a model that encompasses advocacy, organizing, services, and research.
So we did some research in early 2009, and we saw that in sub-zip codes in Queens, more than 50% of the homeowners that were actually facing default, who had already missed mortgage payments and were facing foreclosure, were actually of South Asian descent. So this is Bangladeshis, people of Indo-Caribbean origin, Pakistanis, Indians.
So what's one of the other options besides going into foreclosure? You need to be aware of those. You need to stay in tune with those options.
Right now, mostly I'm doing foreclosure counseling, like people who are in default, not able to pay the mortgage payment.
I was served foreclosure documents in January of this year. I went to the court to file the documents and I was introduced to Chhaya CDC. I came and I saw Shama. She submitted my documents in March of this year. The bank responded the next day, which I was very surprised.
My name is Monica, this is my mom, Anjum. We started having problems for paying the mortgage, and we tried to call the bank ourselves. They would give us like a response telling us, oh, we'll call you back in 45 days or give you a package. And then when we would call back and, you know, they would start the whole thing over again.
I'm very, very happy. If it wasn't for Chhaya, that would not have been possible. So they have helped me tremendously.
I went to Chhaya and I got a good help there, you know, it was great. And I had to pay nothing and it cost me nothing, you know. And they did a wonderful job to get the mortgage done, back and forth with the bank, and it really made me comfortable, you know. I have no stress now. I feel like start back a new life again with my family, you know.
Oh, I want to say that whenever we need help, Shama is there. I appreciate her work. She does every kind of help.
The language need is very, very evident, especially in the South Asian community, because these are culturally sensitive things, right? And that's something that people want to have that comfort zone to talk about it. When clients call us and they know that we have the capacity to speak the language that they speak, they feel more comfortable. I think it's easier to gain their trust because that's an important issue when you're dealing with sensitive subjects like foreclosure prevention.
You write down the addresses, today's date, obviously, status. So we decided very early on that education would be our #1 focus when it came to 2010 census. We made sure people knew the connection between census and the community resources.
Early on, Chhaya started to focus on what we as tenant attorneys saw as a very important problem, and that is the so-called illegal apartments, or apartments that are not permitted under either building codes or zoning laws.
Because of the housing stock in Queens, there really isn't enough affordable housing, and it hasn't kept up, the development of housing hasn't kept up with the population increase.
Most of the families, South Asian families, are joint family systems where you have multiple generations of a family or multiple members of a family living together.
So we wanted to make sure that people were not fearful of answering census questions just because they lived in a basement apartment. It was actually more important that they got counted because they stand to benefit the most. And similarly, we wanted to make sure the landlords who depend on being able to pay the mortgage on the rental income were not afraid about a building code violation or Department of Buildings if they answered that, yes, I do have tenants who live in the basement.
You're going around to make sure people got their census forms?
The landlord thing, give us a call. We're based in Jackson Heights. Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your census.
Coming out today and knocking on doors, trying to get people counted for the census is very important because I feel, you know, I'm part of this community. I owe something to it. It raised me and I have to try to give back.
You know, I'm a first-generation immigrant. So my mom came here, you know, I'm US born. Growing up here, like, you see all that the country has to offer, and, you know, it's not just enough to just sort of be here, but the fact is that if we're going to be here, we might as well, you know, engage people around us into, you know, the issues that are important, because if we don't, then no one else will.
No community lives in isolation. So to have the kind of community cohesion that we need in a society that's increasingly diverse, it's important to have that kind of community engagement, community dialogue, and ultimately multicultural understanding.
So we really wanted to take this opportunity to bring together all the different community groups and artists and musicians and performers to celebrate not just Chhaya's 10-year anniversary, but also to celebrate the community. We've really come a long way over the last 10 years, and we're really proud of all that we've been able to accomplish together.
What can I leave behind that is uniquely tied to me as an individual and as a community member is what makes my work at Chhaya hugely important. As a community, we are as good as our most marginalized member in the community.
I think we're playing a very critical role in connecting with people, informing them, educating them, making them understand of their rights.
The real impact is that we're helping to build the community, make the community stronger. It's something that's going to last for generations.
Support Chhaya because it is meeting the needs of some of the most marginalized communities in New York City. It is meeting the needs of a population that is the fastest growing, and it is meeting the needs of a population that has the potential to be a very active civic members of the community.
You know, we just don't want policies to happen to us. We want to be actively involved in their making. That's the goal as informed citizens.